City Skylines 2 is coming out soon. Mostly. And honestly, how can you not be excited about it? I'm such a Colossal Order simp that I went out and broke my cardinal rule and pre ordered the game. Please don't do me like last time, Paradox. But there certainly are some features missing from the game, and one big one in particular.
That said, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out the elephant in the room. There is no cycling infrastructure in the base game, and that to me is a weird omission. I personally would have rather seen bikes added to the base game rather than trams. I've been in communities with 500 people that have bike lanes, and I've been in cities with 2 million people that don't have trams.
That's right, bikes. Now, as any modern city enthusiast can attest, cycling can be extremely beneficial when planning out a modern city. Cities around the world have been using bikes for a very long time, and there's definitely been a biking renaissance in recent years, with bike lanes and bike paths being more prevalent in modern cities. Now, how such a popular form of transit can be so ominously missing from City Skylines 2 certainly has given rise to a lot of concerns for people. However, as a good red-blooded American, I obviously don't mind the lack of bikes. In fact, it gives me hope. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Great, just another American with his car-centric planning. These Americans wouldn't know a civilized transit system if it ran them over in the middle of the street. And you probably have a point there. I mean, after all, did you recite this every day in kindergarten? I pledge allegiance to the car, and to paving all of suburbia, and to big oil for which it stands, one mode of transit over all others, with crippling payments for all. But no, guys, I'm actually a big fan of bikes. You see, just look at all these beautiful little bikers on their bike lanes. Look at them, they're so cute. But let's be honest, citizen transit choices in City Skylines 1 were always a bit dubious. I mean, the only time I've ever seen this many Americans waiting for a bus is if they were going to a Trump rally. It was always really easy to get your citizens to ride bikes in City Skylines 1. If you build it, they will come. Just throw down a lane. It doesn't matter how long it is or how much traffic is driving next to it. And hey, the faster the cars are going, the better, right? Just like in real life. No, actually, in real life, it's a lot more complicated than just throwing down some white paint and everyone showing up with their cycling helmet on. Oh, gee, I wonder why no one wants to ride their bike on this road with that little strip of paint protecting them from those fast-moving cars. Can't they see the sign? Now, we know that City Skylines 2 is very heavily focused on the citizen simulation. Citizens will no longer path to random shops all over the map. They'll actually go to the stores close to them. They'll live in houses that are closer to the things they're interested in, like work or school. I don't know to what extent this simulation stuff existed in City Skylines 1, but hopefully City Skylines 2 feels a lot more immersive and a lot more alive and actually makes a city feel like a place where you could mess up by doing things wrong. With the depth of simulation the devs seem to be going for, it makes sense that bike infrastructure could be more than just a piece of paint on the side of the road. How would building your bike network be different if your citizens actually considered the convenience of taking a bike along with the safety of taking a bike? What if they were afraid of your cars in your city? What if they had concerns about traveling too far without any shade on a bike in the middle of summer? What if the beauty of the actual trail they were on influenced whether they wanted to take a bike or not? It's little things like this that will make a simulation appear much more like reality, because in a real city, people and planners have to think about that. With City Skylines 2 being so focused on realism, they have the option to not only make it realistic by putting the pipes underneath the roads where they should be, but also by making biking actually reflect reality, because it is one of the largest challenges that cities, especially in my country, are facing. Personally, I love it when a video game manages to transcend from being something that's just entertaining to something that's really a work of art. One of the coolest things about City Skylines 2 is how well it could reflect real cities filled with real people. It's incredible when someone can make a game that reflects reality and gives the player a chance to experience a piece of reality that we don't normally get to think about. In this way, the game becomes more than just a game. It can teach us about our interactions with the world around us and with our society. It would be such a missed opportunity to have only a simplified version of bike infrastructure in such an ambitious game. What I'm trying to say is, I want the State Department of Transportation to play this game, see the light, and break down in tears over what they have done, or something like that. Now, nothing has been said from Colossal Order if this type of bike infrastructure is a planned feature for Cities Skylines 2. However, with how hard they've leaned into the simulation, I totally think it's a possibility. The biking simulation could be just as good as any of the other simulations that they are going for, and really reflect what makes a good bike network versus a poor bike network. If the Cities Skylines 2 devs incorporate this into their game, I think that will be a massive step forward and will totally be worth waiting for. So pop on over to the forums and make sure they aren't cheaping out for me. I'm not saying that I wouldn't take it if it was implemented in the base game. I just don't want bikes if they're a cheap overlay over a car-centric transit plan like they do here in North America. We have enough of that. I don't need it in my perfectly balanced cities game. And to be honest, I imagine it does take a bit more computational process to consider the safety of the path, the comfort of the path for the bike versus a car versus a bus. So if it takes them a little longer to put it together, I understand that. Now, of course, if they take the extra time to add the bikes as part of a DLC and then they just end up doing the same goofy thing that Cities Skylines 1 bikes do, that might be a different story. I'd be a bit more disappointed. I mean, come on, this is the perfect opportunity to make a really great system that actually simulates a city, and you squander it on outdated ideas that cars and bikes can share the street. If you're listening, Colossal Order, just to know, we love you, and we aren't going to settle for anything less than a well-fleshed out, beautifully polished, realistic bike infrastructure system. And thank you so much for doing that. It is going to be incredible. Seriously, we are all going to love it. And thank you all for watching. Hey, if you got a comment about the bikes or whatever you think is missing from Cities Skylines 2, throw it in the comments down below, and we'll see you next time.